LAFCO meeting November 14th, 2019.
I'd like to call the Alameda County LAFCO Commission to order for November 14th. Please join Commissioner Mateo and the pledge. Face the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mary, roll call, please.
Commissioner Haggerty, Commissioner Splendorio,
Here.
Commissioner Marchand,
Here.
Commissioner Thornton,
Here.
Commissioner Miley, Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Wieskamp, Commissioner Halbert, Commissioner Valle, Commissioner Von Heater Leopold, Commissioner Pico.
Here.
Yes, that's okay. Just call your name.
So, here's special districts. Everybody's here. All right. Okay. Public comment time, which speaks to anything that's not on today's agenda. I don't know that I have any speaker card for you.
I don't have any.
Nobody wants to speak at a public comment. Move to item 5.
Thank you, Chair. Alameda LAFCO will receive its first quarter budgeted Alameda LAFCO will receive its first quarter report of budgeted to actual transactions for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. LAFCO is on pace to finish the fiscal year with a balanced budget, which includes $180,000 from the fund balance to offset agency apportionments. Actual expenses processed through the first 4 months totaled $151,103, amount representing 19% of the budgeted total with a quarter of the fiscal year complete. Alameda LAFCO has collected only 53% of the agency apportionments, and a third round of invoices will be forthcoming. The report is being presented to the Commission to accept and file.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody in the public wish to speak? All right. Well, I need a motion to accept and file. Second. Got that Thorne.
Apologies, Chair. A consent item for the meeting minutes too.
Okay, I'll get back to that.
Okay, thank you.
I missed the very exciting minutes. I apologize. All right. So, hold on. I got one motion on the floor.
We're moving
Okay,
now.
we're moving to item 5 here. I have a motion, a second. Is there any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. I got Michelle on consent calendar, item 4.
I'll be glad to second. Whatever, Ralph and I will go for it.
Okay, Wieskamp. Any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. Item 6.
Thank you. Well, that's fast.
Excuse me, may I ask who made the motion on the
Which
item
one?
5? Who seconded the motion on item 5?
Item 5 was.
seconded.
Oh, okay, got it, thank you.
Okay, so for item number 6, the proposal before the Commission was submitted by the firm Pacific States Environmental Contractors Incorporated with Alameda LAFCO, seeking to annex approximately 91 acres of territory located within the city of Fremont to Union Sanitary District for public wastewater services. The purpose of the proposal is to provide wastewater services for restrooms, shower facilities, and a laundry facility in support of a future park and campsite to be known as the Dunbarton Quarry Regional Park and to be operated by the East Bay Regional Park District. The affected territory consists of one parcel and is located on a former quarry site that is being reclaimed for future park development pursuant to an approved reclamation plan and conditional use permit approved by the City of Fremont. The City of Fremont General Plan designates the affected territory as a resource conservation and open public space area, and due to the prevalence of wetlands, species habitat, and public land ownership, the area has extremely limited development potential. Union Sanitary District agrees with the annexation and determines that it has the capacity to support the planned development. Additionally, the affected territory lies within Union Sanitary District's sphere of influence, and the timing of the change of organization aligns with the City of Fremont's land use plans in a manner that reflects available capacities and infrastructure. Staff did find a potential amendment to the proposal to modify the physical boundary that involves expanding the annexation boundary to include one additional parcel, incorporated lot, immediately to the east of the affected territory, and that totaled 96.7 acres and is owned by the Leslie Salt Company. The underlying merits in pursuing this potential boundary amendment is tied to producing a more orderly boundary for Union Sanitary District that would eliminate a quote-unquote island of non-jurisdictional land entirely surrounded by the district. However, the demerits in proceeding with this boundary amendment are significant for the need of an additional environmental review and uncertainty as to whether such an expansion would survive protest proceedings under LAFCO law, given that the owner of the parcel does not plan or wish to connect to the district in the immediate future. So staff does not recommend proceeding with the reference alternative at this time. Protest proceedings for change of organization may be waived by Alameda LAFCO under Government Code Section 56662, given that the affected territory is uninhabited and the subject landowners have provided their respective written consent to the underlying proceedings. Lastly, the City of Fremont serves as the lead agency for assessing any potential impacts of the proposal under CEQA and has determined it is a project that will have significant impacts on the environment. The city, however, has adopted a mitigative negative declaration along with an addendum to account for the proposed annexation, which staff independently concurs that it has made the appropriate determinations. Staff recommends the Commission adopt the draft resolution approving the annexation of Dumbarton Ford Regional Park to Union Sanitary District and adopting the addendum to the mitigated negative declaration of the proposal. Staff would like to return the item to the chair for Commission discussion and or any questions, and then to open the public hearing. Staff would also like to note that applicant representative is in the audience as well to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any speakers on the item we have?
I don't have any speaker cards.
Did the applicant wish to say anything?
Hi, Jim Templeton, McCann Psalms. I'm acting here on behalf of the applicant. I'm really here more for questions if there are any.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak on this item? Any questions? Motion.
I'll move alternative one in the staff report and also certify negative deck. I didn't see that in alternative one, but assume you want that in.
I guarantee you when I'm going to second motion, because I can't tell you how long it's taken to get to this point. And we're hoping for next spring of the necessary part.
Thank you. Motion by Madorio, seconded by Camp. Is there any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. Item 7.
Thank you, one and all.
You're welcome. Item 7.
Thank you, Chair. The Commission will consider the action of approving a change of organization proposal filed by the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District with Alameda LAFCO to annex the entire city of Albany into the district. The affected territory consists of 394.4 acres and 574 parcels. The purpose of the proposal is to create a countywide mosquito abatement district covering all cities within the County of Alameda to streamline essential public health services. Currently, the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District provides mosquito control services to all cities and unincorporated communities in the county with the exception of the city of Albany. The Alameda County Vector Control Services District currently provides vector control services to the entire county and only mosquito control services to the city of Albany. Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District thus seeks to create one district that provides countywide mosquito control services. Now, it is up to the Commission to review an analysis of factors required for consideration under LAFCO law anytime a jurisdictional change is proposed. No single factor is determinative, and the intent to provide a uniform baseline for LAFCOs is in considering jurisdictional changes in context with the Commission's own adopted policies and practices. Staff would like to summarize key conclusions generated in the review of these factors for the proposed annexation. As for the development potential, the proposed annexation does not change or have any effect on the land use or appear to conflict with general or specific plans in the city of Albany or the county. It does not appear to alter or increase the development potential for the city of Albany. Now, the affected territory lies within the sphere of influence of the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District that was most recently reapproved by the Commission in 2013, which denotes the district is a probable long-term service provider through the inclusion of the affected territory within the district's sphere of influence. Now, it is up to the Commission to determine the timetable. Nevertheless, as part of Alameda LAFCO's 2013 Municipal Service Review, as well as its most recent Municipal Service Review on cities within the county completed in 2018, both reports recommended LAFCO encourage the annexation of the city of Albany into Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District. Approval of the proposal would extend an annual special tax and benefit assessment of $1.74 per parcel in the form of a special tax and $2.50 per single-family resident or family equivalent in benefit assessment within the city in the same manner as applied to the district generally. Now, staff would like to note that it has received comments from the City of Albany, Board of Supervisor Keith Carson, and the Alameda County Vector Control Services District. All comments pose concerns on the proposed annual tax and benefit assessment, given the residents of the city do not currently pay an added tax for these services, and additionally that there are limited sources of mosquitoes and response calls within the service area. Additionally, the comments maintain that Alameda County Vector Control Services District provides the same level of service to the area to that of which Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District would provide. Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District claims that it will be better equipped to track and control mosquitoes throughout the county and to the City of Albany residents with the same and consistent systems and have better collaboration among the cities and outlying counties. Staff does not suggest to modify the physical boundaries or add amendments to the proposal at this time and apply standard approval terms. The proposal is subject to protest proceedings given that the area is inhabited and subject to landowners that have provided written consent. Also, the district serves as the lead agency for assessing the potential impacts of the proposal under CEQA. The district has determined the action qualifies as a project under CEQA, and a programmatic environmental report was prepared to further evaluate potential impacts. The report concludes mitigation measures would be provided as a condition on the subject approval, and staff independently concurs the district has made the appropriate determinations. Staff would like to note that this is a public hearing item and will return the item to the chair for commission discussion and would be happy to answer any questions as the commission sees fit. Staff would also like to highlight that the general manager of Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District, Ryan Klozitsner, is in the audience, is in attendance, as well as I believe perhaps some representatives from the City of Albany and Alameda County Vector Control Services District. And with that, I will turn the item to the chair.
And commissioners, the law provides that for district annexations, if a resolution of objection is filed by either a city or a district, it must be given great weight with respect to any financial or service-related concerns. You did not receive any resolutions of objection. You did receive a number of letters of objection. The letter from the City of Albany, in my opinion, should be given great weight in your consideration. Although it did not take the form of a resolution, it was adopted by the City Council, and so it is functionally the equivalent of a resolution. The letter from Supervisor Carson and from the staff of the Vector Control Services District were not adopted by the Legislative Board, and so they are not the functional equivalent of a resolution of objection. So I do not believe that the law requires you to give those letters great weight, though in your discretion you could of course do so.
Okay. Is there anybody from the Mosquito District here? Did you want to say anything?
Just got a couple comments, if you don't mind.
Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Any objections to opening the public hearing? Public hearing is open.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. staff. My name is Brian Clausenser, General Manager of Alameda County Mosquito Management District. First, I'd like to thank you to nudging us to do this after 35 years of recommendations by LAFCO from the mid-'80s, the '90s, 2000s, and recently. It's been on our radar since the 1920s, so we're very familiar with this issue, and we've been trying to solve it for almost 100 years. We're a small staff of 17, with a board almost the same size of 14, representing every city in our district, plus an Alameda County member. With that 14 staff, the 17 staff members, we have a budget of $4.5 million. And as I'm sure you understand in the report, that money comes from 3 sources of income. The 2 assessments plus the ad valorem. That $4.5 million, a quarter of it comes from a benefit assessment, which we have not raised in over 12 years. We were approved for $5. We took $2.50 of that. It goes up to $7. We're still keeping our $2.50. It's one of the values of our district that I've inherited and I'm proud of, is that we really focus on customer service. We focus on program evaluation and innovations through research to keep our costs down. We also focus on future planning, strategic planning, so we can invest our assets to avoid any future cost increases, such as pension rate stabilization funds and capital asset replacement plans. And we're very proud of our outsized influence. Again, being a district of 17 and $4.5 million, we have a very outsized influence in the region, in the state, and nationally through our research and through our contributions. We work with other special districts. We have representatives from San Mateo, Mosquito Vector Control, which we have a mutual aid agreement. It's one of our strategies to avoid any cost increases through partnerships. We work with special districts in the area, East Bay Regional Park, in Castro Valley, Center, to be example, and all those cities as well, to partner and solve problems together. We're a lean organization. And I also appreciate what LAFCO does. I'm a fan of LAFCO. I've known about you guys for a while, and I always found your very interesting work. And when I read on your website what your objectives are, it really aligned to what we're doing here. It's that agency boundaries are unrelated to one another and overlap at random. This overlapping leads to high service costs and general confusion regarding deliveries. Your efforts are directed to see that the services are provided efficiently and economically. And I think this application shows that. That's what we hope to do here. So thank you for your time.
So, if I could, I know you just ran through some, but I mean, can you say, like, is there direct benefits if you had the entire county compared to not having the city? I mean, is there benefit to the city by coming into the district, direct benefit that you could quantify, as opposed to using the counties they're currently using?
I think the immediate benefit is local control. We do have board members, and sometimes the board member is always surprised to find themselves on a mosquito board, to be honest. But once you're there and you're actually seeing the work we do once a month, once an hour, a meeting that we go through what we're doing and having control over this very esoteric industry that we are, I think that's a benefit that our board members, our trustees can actually speak of if they're allowed to see where their money goes, how it's funded, and evaluation. We're one of the few mosquito districts in the state that have transparency, that everything's out for us for everyone to see. And I think it's really an example of good government that I'm really proud of. And I think we're looking forward to working with Albany to be a part of that discussion as well, to show this is what good government's all about. This is what a good, lean mosquito district does. And I think that will be the immediate benefit. Also being tied to the rest of the region with the work is another benefit they'll see as well. This motion was passed unanimously. I think our board found very common sense. So we had every other city plus the representative from Alameda County agreeing that they want Albany with us. They want to work together with us. And I think that's one hope that I have as well when I spoke to the leaders of Albany. I want to work with Albany. I like Albany, and I want them to be a part of us.
But from a public health perspective?
Well, anytime you have spot treatments, it's really systematic. Mosquitoes don't know boundaries. They really don't know where. We did work in the marshes along Albany and within Albany again from the 20s until the mid-80s. So we did work there for 70 years. And then we worked with the county vector control for the next 20 years. In the last 12 years, we haven't done any work in Albany at all. But it has been in recent 2006 we worked there. Right now, we really don't know what is happening there. And the technician who would work in Albany, she also does Berkeley and Greenville and parts of North Oakland. So it's a regional approach to things. These mosquitoes can fly 20 miles sometimes, you know. So if we don't know, we're missing a major hole. And we do work with Contra Costa right over the border, but this is it's a very, as you can imagine, a very interesting industry and a very odd. There's not a lot of mosquito control products out there, so it makes sense to have something in a broad scale for efficient matters instead of having just a spot treatment for this. So that's why I say it makes sense to have a broad regional look at mosquito control rather than just a city-by-city look.
Any questions, any other questions?
So, tell us a little bit, I appreciate the fact that you control costs quite well, but let's face it, over time, inflation is going to increase costs for everybody. How would you compare your ability to keep your rates current with inflation as opposed to the county CSA's ability to do that?
I'm not really aware what the CSA's, what they've done recently. I see it on my tax bill, but I know that ours is at $4. I think ours is the lowest at $1.74 and $2.50. And when we were approved, that was in 2008. So we went through 2008, 2009, 2010, and we never raised taxes during that. And it's something that now that we benefit from parcels being built, and we also benefit from property values increasing. And we've been able to invest now for the future. So all of our models show that with a reduction, we have enough reserves that would be able to buffer any rate increases. So if it's our emergency fund, we have money for that in case there's a new mosquito that comes in. We won't be asking for the county or anyone else for that money. If there's pensions, we have $1.5 million in a pension fund, so we can buffer for the next 8 years for that as well. So we've tried to, through strategic planning, look at every possible threat and plan for it, because I know, as a ratepayer myself, to try to figure that out. It's a different situation with a sanitary district or a park district. There's a lot more costs. Our costs are somewhat they're more obvious costs, pesticides, pensions, things like that, you know, but we try to spend less money on overhead and actually more money on service delivery for the ratepayers to see. And again, ensuring that our ratepayers see us when they call us within a day. That's one of our primary focuses, is the value of us.
Anybody else, Commissioner Spudler?
Yeah, could you know, I've been here a while and I know that we've pushed this issue in our municipal service reviews, and I went through the staff report and I know there's a history. Why isn't Albany in? So answer that question. I have another set of questions. And really more what Commissioner Haggerty was going to tell us more about the public health issues here. You know, I know you said they're not limited by boundaries, and they don't respect necessarily a municipal boundary. But I noticed in some of the comment letters that, you know, we don't have mosquitoes in, which doesn't sound logical to me, but please if you could explain why we have a mosquito abatement district. Again, go back a little bit in history. Why do we have it? What's the benefit to the county in general, the community, the citizens in general? And if we didn't have you, what might we look like? Is that broad enough?
Yeah, no, I can go. Mosquito abatement has existed in California since the mid-19-teens. I think the first district was in Marin-Sonoma, and for two reasons. One was malaria. I think about 20 years prior to that, we first made the connection between mosquitoes and diseases in the first place. Before that was bad air, malaria, bad air. But then once they made that connection with mosquitoes, then they started, you know, I don't know, now I got me going on a long road here with Panama Canal and all that. But as far as California, when they passed a law to say, okay, this is a public health crisis, we need to have an organized effort to control this in the form of special districts generally. Marin-Sonoma, and there was actually for salt marsh mosquitoes. That's what our founding of our county, of our district, is for these mosquitoes that live out in the marshes. Before that, the notes that we have is from a business development standpoint, a housing development. The south part of the county was almost uninhabitable for these mosquitoes. They fly 20 miles. And we also, the north part of the county, Berkeley was one of our original cities, because they would fly in from, we used to do ditch work all the way up to Rodeo and up along that, almost to Crockett. Our district did that work all the way up the side there. because those mosquitoes can fly about 20 or so miles. So that's where we originally found it, is the combination of mosquito diseases, at the time malaria, and also for salt marsh mosquitoes that are extremely aggressive, nasty, day-biting mosquitoes that literally cancel school in classes if they get released. And when we do miss something, we hear about it. It's rare, but if there's a very vast territory of salt marshes in the salt part of the county, and if there's some random pond that gets flooded, we hear about it because they fly in and attack an elementary school or something. But that's the original founding. I looked at the notes, why Albany was not in there. And it was discussed in 27 that they excluded the Tri-Valley. Sounds like you guys are in cities out here at that point. So it was mostly farmland, not a lot of work, some irrigation. So the Tri-Valley wasn't included in the original assessment, and some other parts of southern Alameda, cities that weren't incorporated yet. And Albany you're right, didn't have a lot of mosquitoes themselves. And they still don't have a lot of mosquitoes. One of the reasons I can just segue to the next question is, I think a lot of the reasons why they don't have a lot of mosquitoes is the work that we do around it. But just generally, that part of the county has less, but they have less of the salt marsh mosquitoes, but a lot of it are backyard drains, backyard catch basins. Those are the ones that spread the West Nile virus disease. So it really takes an effort, a technological effort, to map all of these storm drains out and visit them and work with cities with trash capture devices and these things that collect trash and really work to find every possible source in the area. I know before, as I mentioned, we did a constant allocation of how much this will cost us, and it's about a wash, really, with overhead and everything. How much we bring in is how much it's going to cost. We looked at the high. One of our staff members here now was a former, worked in that area, and you get about 10 to 15 calls a year from Albany. An average month, we get about 80 calls throughout the county for mosquitoes, so 15 a year. So yeah, that's not a lot of mosquitoes, but there is mosquito work being done there. But it can be done a lot more efficiently if we just take our current staff and just move them up in the area. We expect a little bit of a bump with Albany once we first move there, because they'll be aware of us more now that they're seeing it on our tax bill. That's usually one of the ways that people know we exist, is they see the line item there for the $1.74. But again, a comprehensive mosquito control program is essential to find out where the risk factors are, evaluate where our traps are, where we should go, where we should focus our efforts. Again, with only 8 field staff for the whole county, we need to know where to put our efforts. And instead of growing staff and growing, that's not what I'm about, that's not what our district's about. It's really about taking the resources we have and we're given and focus them on public health threats and also nuisance factors. Does that answer those two?
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Pico?
So do I understand that at present, you are providing service to Albany, but funded by the county, or am I wrong?
So our county is one of the only counties in the state that has a mosquito district, which is us, that is a special district with our own governing board, and a vector control, which is a dependent special district part of the county. So they receive taxes as well, but they're part of the county. They report to the Board of Supervisors. So we do not do work in Albany. We did it relatively, I'll just say free, until the mid-2000s. And finally our manager and our board said, enough, and then we worked with vector control. We worked with them from the mid-80s to the 2000s, and finally we just walked away. And we thought that would be the end of it, but we thought, this is something that is not going away. We just need to complete this process.
So the vector control then from the county is the agency that provides mosquito in Albany?
Yes, they do. They do work in Albany right now.
And do you, okay. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Michelle Mason? And then Amy Schrager?
Good afternoon. Rochelle Mason, Mayor of Albany. For Albany, we see this not as positive in terms of advancing public health. We are receiving services now that we're very happy with. We have an excellent working relationship with our provider. And we do not have great confidence that if this shift were to be made, that we would receive the same level of service or the same collaborative relationship that we have enjoyed. We do understand this involves an oversight seat, but we are really very happy with having a strong relationship that already exists and has existed for quite a long time. So we don't see a public health advantage, and we do see a potential public health detriment. The arguments that we see in the documents are not arguments about improving public health for our citizenry. They are arguments about financial fairness and justice. So I want to state, first of all, that Albany, I don't know how familiar people here are with Albany. We're a small town without a hill district, and I will come back to the hill district issue in a moment. But we have as of 2017, we were a city with a median household income substantially below the county median, the income median for household income for the county as a whole, and nearly $10,000 below as of 2017. So we're not talking here about a particularly wealthy community. And one of the kind of geographical facts to think about is this, that Albany has virtually no private swimming pools. There is one in a multifamily apartment building, and there is one that we know of at a private residence, and that is it. There might be 2 or 3 others. We have no horse properties. We probably have a very few properties that have ornamental water features, probably in their backyards. I can't think of any in front yards. So the 3 areas that are the focus for the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District, which are standing water in abandoned, in unused swimming pools, and monitoring to make sure that swimming pools that become unused are regulated properly, horse troughs on horse properties, and water features, of which there are quite a few in Berkeley, actually. If you go up into the Berkeley Hills, you do find homes with professional landscaping that includes water features. None of these things are present in any substantial numbers in the city of Albany. So the argument that Albany is somehow unjustly getting a free ride because we have a provider that is not charging us, but is doing it for the sake of their training and their capacity to deal with a significant vector, that really has no, it ignores the larger issue of what that mosquito district focuses on and the absence of those features in Albany. The other argument, a part that somehow we're burdening the rest of the county, I think can be dismissed out of hand. The county supports us. They are pleased to have this, this particular responsibility. They feel that it benefits them and their staff training and what they need to do. It's not a detriment. So there is not any contribution to public health. There is a potential detriment to public health from our perspective. There is no injustice in terms of Albany getting services, and there is no detriment to the county. So for these reasons, we hope that you will say no, and I'd be happy to answer questions if you have procedures about that.
Are there any questions? John?
Are you saying the county provides mosquito abatement services at no cost?
The vector control folks will address that. I
Well,
believe.
that's what you just said.
That is my
residents.
understanding, that Alameda County Vector Control provides these services, which, as you can see, are extremely limited. But also, as I understand it, and I don't want to speak for them, but from their perspective, as I understand it, this is valuable training and keeps their staff up to date on the vector of mosquito, the issue of mosquitoes and the potential interaction of mosquito vectors with other vectors. Mosquitoes can, as I understand it, and I'm not the mosquito gal, but mosquitoes can carry diseases in conjunction with other vectors, like mammal, mammal infestation of mammals, disease-carrying animals.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
So I let the mayor and the representative from the district go a little longer. Mayor speaking on behalf of the city. I'm going to start holding everybody else for 3 minutes, so Amy Strego. And then after that, Robert Gay.
I'm Amy Schrader's Chief of Staff to Supervisor Keith Carson. He sorry couldn't come down this afternoon. You all received our letter. We're in support of Albany's position to not be annexed into the Mosquito Abatement District. And just to clarify, the residents of Albany do pay the regular vector control assessment, and so the mosquito service is part of that assessment that they pay on their property taxes as the vector control assessment. And just Albany requires such a low level of service in terms of mosquito abatement, and also our environmental health vector control staff are able to do a lot of interesting science with their work in Albany, and it's a really great opportunity for the county as a health agency to be able to have that place to do some innovative and interesting work out there around monitoring of vectors, including mosquitoes. And so on behalf of Supervisor Carson, I would encourage you to not have the Mosquito Abatement District annex Albany. Thank you.
Question of the speaker? Go ahead.
Several question. One of our goals is to eliminate the duplication of services. And since, from your letter and Albany's letter, you provide just as good a service as the Mosquito Abatement District, why doesn't vector control do mosquito abatement for the entire county?
I don't know.
Because that way we eliminate duplication of effort. I'm wondering why we have two agencies that do the same thing. Why don't we just do the entire county?
I'm sure they would be happy to do that, but that's not what we're talking about. So I think just for Albany, it's a very small area. There are such
Well, Liverpool's a small area. We pay for the Norway rats, and we don't have any. So we're subsidizing other cities as well. So I'm just curious. Our goal is to eliminate duplication. So we've got duplication here. And we're talking about affordability, and it's $1.74 per year. So I see some streamlining, but you answered my question. Thank you.
Robert Gay. After that's Drew Rock and Jan Washburn.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Gay, and I'm the Chief of Environmental Health for the Alameda County Vector Control Services District. We've been providing, as you've been hearing, services since 1984 when the Board of Supervisors installed the county service area. What that means is we provide services for all vectors in all of your cities, and your cities are all different. So I know in Livermore, you don't have that many Norway rats, that's true, but you have a ton of mice. So, and other people don't have those issues. Pleasanton, we have big issues with nuisance wildlife, and right now we're up there handling a feral pig problem. In Dublin, we're dealing with feral pigs, and we are in Fremont too. So the issue with Albany is because they had their own public health years ago, and that's why they got in a position where they didn't want to go in with the mosquito abatement district because they had their own health department. And in 1984, that's when they came into our district. If we are asked to provide mosquito services in other cities, for us, it's just another vector. We control all vectors. We don't base our budget on each vector. We base it on the work that we do. We have 24 biologists that go out. And one thing you need to remember with the mosquito abatement district, they actually get ad valorem tax dollars as well, not just a special tax and a benefit assessment. They get ad valorem tax dollars, part of your 1% property tax. We do not get that. Ours is totally based on a benefit assessment. The other thing is that in the county, a dependent district, we fall underneath the Board of Supervisors. So that means we fall underneath the county auditors, the county GSA, and county HR. So all of our salaries are kept within line with all the other, county agencies. The mosquito abatement district just gave their manager a significant raise. You can see that in their documentation. And their technicians are some of the highest paid in the state. If there was a consolidation with mosquito abatement, they would have a serious reduction in their salaries, but it would be a serious reduction in the overall cost of doing the program too, if consolidation is looked at down the road. For us right now, we feel very strongly that our program in Albany falls in line with the California Arboviral program. We're doing everything that all the other districts are doing around the state of California. In addition, our laboratory is state-of-the-art. We do all the arboviral work, same as mosquito abatement and all the other districts in the state. So if you have any questions, sorry if I went over.
Questions?
And one short question.
Sure.
Mr. Spindler.
If the Board of Supervisors pass a budget and you have to cut, would you be required to cut Albany? Not required. Is it possible that the vector control for Albany for mosquitoes would be cut if you had a budget demand that you cut your budget?
Excuse me. Our budget is not based on the county budget. We're on a benefit assessment, so we're in a totally different funding source. So if the county cuts their budget, which they have, they still assess the district and environmental health with a reduction in costs that goes to the county administrator. But no, our budget stays the same.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson.
So what's your ability to raise your benefit assessment?
If we raise our benefit assessment, it has to go through quite a system. It's got to go through healthcare service agencies, it's got to go to the county administrator, it's got to go to the board of supervisors.
So the Board of Supervisors has to approve any benefit assessment increase.
Oh, absolutely.
It was earlier alluded to the fact that the services that Albany receives from mosquito abatement is at no cost. Is that true?
No.
How much does it cost?
It costs our residents $10 a year for all of our services. We receive about 200 calls from the residents of Albany for any vector. Right now, last year, 129 were for rodents. We had 4 for mosquitoes. So
what would you say the cost for mosquito control is?
minimal. We have 2 chicken flocks that we,
Question here. How much do you charge Livermore?
same.
Okay, so you see.
Everybody pays the same.
So is it-
Excuse me, the city of Oakland pays an extra $1.38 for rodent control.
So another question would be, okay, so you've got vector control for the entire county of Alameda. It seems like a lot of responsibility. And then you've got this one little piece in Albany where you've got mosquitoes. And then you have another special district that does mosquitoes throughout the whole county. It just seems logical to me that we should assign services to the people that can actually do it. In my mind, it would be easier for the CSA to not do mosquito abatement.
Why, we're already there.
But
See, right now, mosquito abatement's not there. So we're there, and we're doing rats and fleas, ticks, lice, and we're doing mosquitoes in addition.
yeah.
So if you approve this annexation, then you're gonna have duplication of services in that area. You're gonna have another district there doing work, when right now you don't.
So you would continue doing mosquito abatement services in Albany?
If you approve this annexation, yeah, we're gonna keep doing our CO2 trapping, yes. We have 20 years of data and we give it to the state every month. They're not gonna break that down. We're there every day. Now, they received 80 calls requests for service on mosquitoes. We received over 5,400 so far this year. That's how many calls we get from the public for the work that we do.
Is that rats and everything, or is that mosquitoes?
That's everything.
You keep blending.
Yeah.
You keep blending, and that's not really fair to us.
Okay.
For us to have to keep asking you the question. How
Sorry
many
about that.
mosquito calls do you have?
For Albany, we had 4.
Okay.
And if we get calls for mosquitoes in other cities, all your cities, if we get any calls from the public, we send them to mosquito abatement. We don't perform any other mosquito services in any of the other cities.
Okay, anybody else have a question? Okay, so Bruce, let's get that right. And then Jan Washburn. Jan, I know where you're at. I do. And then Joe Galligan.
Respected council members, my name is Dhruv Bhatt. I live in Union City, 34228 Holy Pine Lane. I have 2 voluntary positions with the county. One is I'm a Alameda County Public Health Commissioner, and number 2, I'm a trustee of the Mosquito Abatement District. In other words, and I'm a pharmacist by trade. Public health is my passion. One thing I see over here is we have the Mosquito Abatement District with plenty of experience covering the entire county except one tiny portion of it. And then we have a vector board which is well qualified, taking care of mainly vectors, and that's where we have major problem now is the growing presence of vectors. Homelessness is a big issue all over the state and in our county too. So my suggestion is, why not vector board focus on rodents? That's where most of their calls are. They have the resources and support. They can focus on mice, rodents, and leave the mosquito abatement to the professionals at the district level. I was an executive in my work career. I'm retired now. I was vice president of quality for a pharmaceutical company. From a management perspective, which makes sense? Would you give Albany to the mosquito abatement district so that they can manage the whole county well and leave the other vectors, the bigger one, the problems, rodents, mice, to the vector board? So both can then work collaboratively too. It's not that the abatement district and the vector district will be isolated. They need to work together too. So if I look at from a public health perspective, management perspective, and I'm a taxpayer too. From my taxpayer, I see a value here if you approve the annexation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Washburn? And then Mr. Galligan.
Thank you very much. By way of introduction, I'm a retired from the research faculty at Cal, and I spent 12 years there managing the mosquito lab, looking at control of pest mosquitoes. I've also served on the Board of Trustees for the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District for 24 years. First representing the city of Berkeley for almost 20 years, and most recently Oakland, since I moved to Oakland and they had an opening. I've also managed the district on 2 occasions in 2015 and 2017, and I know the mosquito business. I want to address one point that Bob Gay made, and that is regard to our salaries. We are a special district. Our board decides the salaries for our employees, and when we do that, I've served on the salary committee, we compare the salary of our employees with like positions around the Bay Area. As you know, the Bay Area is an expensive place to live, and we are happy to provide our employees with a livable wage. We also, and I will reiterate, we have not raised costs in 11 years. The mosquito climate in California is changing. We have 2 important vectors, the yellow fever mosquito and the Asian tiger mosquito, which are now in Sacramento. They've been moving northward. They do not breed in swimming pools. They breed in small pots of water. 10 millimeters can produce 10 mosquitoes in a week. There are also plans to put marshes along the Bay Area to compensate for climate change. Our personnel are involved with the agencies that are designing these to help mitigate mosquito problems in the future as they put in these horizontal marshes. Alameda County, and Albany in particular, is slated for some of this marsh renovation. Our district has been working this for years. I'm proud of the work we've done. There's no reason at all why 0.7% of the county is under a different jurisdiction. And as a citizen of Oakland, I would rather see vector control money devoted to rats, which is the real problem in my neighborhood in the flats of Oakland. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
Oh, any questions? Sorry.
Oh, that's my job.
Okay.
Mr. Gallagher?
Hi, my name is Joe Galligan. I'm a former mayor of Burlingame, and I'm the current president of San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District. I was told at the last meeting that our prior general manager talked about how great a job that he did. And I work in San Mateo. I drove all the way over here today to give you some facts so you can better judge your decision. There was a $750,000 embezzlement that occurred in San Mateo County. I was off our city council at that point. I've been off now 16 years. I got called by the current mayor. He said, something's going on. I asked our representative from Burlingame. He has no clue. His term is coming up. Would I please submit my name? I said, can you count to 3? He said, yes. I got appointed. Come to find out, the board had been asking about irregularities that appeared in the financials, and Bob Gay was not forthcoming in what those might have been. I don't know that he even had a clue what was going on at the time. Ultimately, they discovered the embezzlement. That has been cleared up. His contract was not renewed. He did not leave in good standing as far as the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control. Subsequent
What does this have to do with Alameda County? I'm missing it.
Okay, you've been given representation by somebody who's financially kind of giving you some details off the cuff in reference to what may or may not happen going forward. What I can also say is we are all in San Mateo County, every city is represented. We started with just Burlingame, San Mateo, and Hillsborough. Ultimately, we became 14 cities, and now all 20 cities are represented. There's one person from the county. We have a 21-person board, and we are able to very easily handle all of the mosquito and vector issues. We have one border on San Francisco, and we have one border on Santa Clara. They work very well with both sides. There's nobody in the middle that they have to work around on who's doing what work. So for San Mateo, even with trying to herd 20 other board people at a meeting, it's very effective, and everybody feels represented. And I think the most important thing that's said today is mosquito and vectors don't know that there's a border. Thank you.
Okay, I got that. So that's the end of the speakers. Anybody else wish to speak? Seeing no speakers, I will close. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Fedorian,
Second.
second by Johnson. Objection, hearing is closed. Okay, back to the board. Questions, comments, motions, thoughts?
Well, I need to leave in 5 minutes, but so if I can't participate, I'm sorry, but I will make a motion to approve the staff report. Option 1, I believe.
Right.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? Go ahead.
We have twice
Commissioner Wisconsin.
Twice in our community services reviews, we have said this needs to happen. And I think we did that for good reason. As part of the East Bay Regional Park District, I'm quite aware of what's going to happen with the marshlands, and that we are working with mosquito abatement because we're quite concerned as we have these changes that it's going to be a potential real problem. And it may not seem important to have Albany in here, but I think we all need to play together. I can see the adjacent communities being concerned. I'm from a place that had lots of mosquitoes, Houston, Texas, let me tell you. And we spent a lot of time and energy and effort in fighting them, and I'm sure they're still doing it. But I have a lot of respect for mosquito abatement people, all of the ceremonies. I've known a number who served over the years. I think they're there to do their job. I think they'll do a great job for all cities, including this new addition. I've known for a long time. I'm a gardener, and I've been told, don't you dare leave a little pot with a little water in it, because mosquitoes can breed in that. And I don't have a swimming pool. There are not that many, but there are more in Livermore, I'm sure, than Albany. But I just think it makes sense to have everybody at the same table, make sure you're getting the right service. It's nothing to disparage what the county does. I just think it makes sense.
Anybody else?
A couple of the points that stood out to me was the one that was made, mosquitoes don't recognize boundaries. Yeah, they travel. And one of the points was made about there's very few sources of standing water. That was in one of the letters. But some of the mosquitoes that we've been dealing with out our way, one of the major sources is abandoned tires. Yeah, abandoned tires will collect rainwater and breed mosquitoes. And those aren't ponds, they're not swimming pools, but they are a source, and also storm drains. I know that the mosquito abatement goes through and treats the storm drains because you frequently have standing water in storm drains that you don't see, but it still produces mosquitoes. So in my mind, it just makes sense to have one coordinated agency to work with the county. So I agree.
Anybody else? Okay. I hear what everybody's saying here, but maybe I'm just too much of a county advocate. I'm proud of the work the county is doing in Albany. I probably will not support the motion. Okay. So with that, if there's no other comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Wow. Me, okay. Motion passes.
And nothing to disparage the work that the county does. The county does
No,
great
No,
work.
no, no.
But
I didn't feel that. I'm okay.
Okay.
I just
a little bit.
I was surprised I was alone on that, but that's okay. All right.
Well, keep in mind, we're here as LAFCO commissioners.
I understand why we're here, and I understand why we're here, Supervisor, and I've been doing my job 23 years, and I'm well aware of it, okay?
Oh, no,
Okay. So with that, we're going to move on to the next item. Item 8.
Thank you, Chair. This item returns to the Commission from its last regular meeting as an update on priority conservation areas and is being presented to the Commission to accept and file. At its last regular meeting, staff initially recommended to include a review of priority conservation areas as an additional factor of mandatory analysis for the review of boundary change proposals as a requirement under Government Code Section 56668. The item was in response to concerns on climate change and sea level rise as considered in determining impacts on development projects and how and if change of organizations indirectly or directly contributed to those impacts. Staff proposed to review whether a change of organization lies within a high priority conservation area as a new factor in review of boundary change proposals and in conjunction with the new mapping tool known as Greenprint that would allow staff to easily locate them. After its last meeting, staff has found that there are only 26 identified priority conservation areas located throughout the county, and the majority are designated as natural landscapes or recreational areas. Additionally, after careful review of the statute of mandatory analysis, the Commission is already subjected to determine if a proposal conflicts with the regional transportation plan maintained by the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. And this includes if the subject area is either a priority conservation area or a priority development area. Therefore, no additional standalone factor under Government Code Section 56668 is warranted. Again, the item is being presented to the Commission to accept and file and provide direction to staff as needed. And with that, I will turn the item to the Chair.
Thank So, any comments?
They got plenty of PCAs in there, so I'll move the item, alternative number 1.
I'll second.
I will note that, I think, Niles Canyon is a PCA, and I think they got some funding in NTC the other day, about $360,000. I'm assuming that was for planning. Am I right?
Excuse me, sorry, Chair, can you repeat that?
I said that I believe Niles Canyon is
A priority conservation
a
area?
PCA,
Okay.
and I was just letting people know that I think they got about $361,000 in funding at the NTC Commission meeting the other day. You know, I don't know if we can do this, because quite frankly, although I pushed hard at NTC for, PCAs were originally just designed for the North County areas, because they didn't feel like they would have enough PDAs. And so I pushed that PCA should be everywhere, and we got that. But I'm not sure the criteria for allowing somebody into the PCAs. And I'm just wondering if in Alameda County that we would want to designate the N3 Ranch as a PCA. And I don't know if that's what you're asking us to do, to add PCAs? What are you asking us to?
So LAFCO, we're not asking to add anything to a PCA. We're just trying to determine, to provide information if, let's say, you have a affected territory, and we just want to know, is it in a PCA or is it in a priority development area? That is not determinative. We can still take action to approve an application regardless if it's in that area. It's just to note and to provide information to the commission.
Okay, well, maybe that's where I'm coming confused, because I thought we were actually taking like some sort of action to either, approve them or, say that this is a good idea.
No, it's just to provide the commission additional information. And that was at the last meeting, but
Right,
under.
that's where the maps were.
Exactly. And under the statute, after reviewing, it's not required. We don't need to provide that additional factor. Staff can do that and just note in a staff report under a regional transportation plan and say, yes, this affected territory is within a priority conservation area. And that's that. The commission can determine and decide, what action they want to take after that information is given. Well,
I mean, that's pretty simple, because MTC has a map that shows all the PCAs and the PDAs, so that's fine. I would, I guess, maybe the county's the one that's going to have to bring forward or maybe the city of Livermore can do it. Maybe Livermore and the city and the county can do it together, bringing forward a application to have the N3 Ranch as a PCA, but we can get to that down the road. So with that, is there any other comments? Okay, so this is an accepted file. I don't think we need a motion for that. I know I did it earlier, but you want to move it?
I'll be glad to.
Okay, in a second. Okay, motion second to accept the file. Any objection to the motion? Motion passes without objection. All right, we'll move to the report on the attendance of the 2019 LAFCO annual conference.
So CalAFCO's 2019 annual conference began with a mobile workshop to visit the redeveloped Bridge District along West Sacramento and a trip to the West Sacramento Community Center to hear from West Sacramento Mayor Christopher Cabaldon on the relationship between the city and the port. That was a highlight for many. Additionally, the general session regarding the case study on the dissolution of the Sativa Water Agency in Los Angeles County was a great example of collaboration between LAFCO, the county, and elected officials dissolving a water district that was pretty fraudulent in supplying its constituents with brown water. So that was an interesting case study. Other notable mentions were the keynote speaker, Mark Arex, who is an award-winning journalist and best-selling author, painting a vivid picture on the history of California agriculture and the growing pressures of farming and needed resources for water. Cal LAFCO did conduct its annual business meeting with the passing of the new dues structure expected to take in effect next fiscal year, and that will raise Alameda LAFCO's dues by $1,000. And last but not least, Commissioner Splendorio is not here, but he gave an exceptional speech, and he was on a panel of one of Cal LAFCO's general sessions that discussed how to lead your LAFCO in the next decade. So that was well attended, and he did a great job. Commissioners Georgine von Heater Leopold was in attendance, along with Commissioner Johnson, and Commissioner Johnson could give his impression too as well. If not, that's fine, but the item is being presented as a verbal report for commission discussion only.
Just real quickly, I attended the mobile workshop, and it's really the story of the Port of Sacramento, which is actually in Yolo County, but was governed by the Board of Supervisors of Sacramento County and the Sacramento City Council. And then the city of West Sacramento, which got incorporated in about the late 1990s. And between the city of Sacramento, or the city of West Sacramento and the port, they could never agree on any sort of development process, so nothing really happened. Then the next thing that came along was the minor league ballpark. Apparently some developers came along and said to the mayor of West Sacramento, could you support a minor league ballpark in West Sacramento? And he said, well, let's go to the city of Sacramento and see if they're going to spend some money on this. The city of Sacramento said, no, we're only interested in a major league ballpark. So then somebody suggested to the mayor that he go to the Board of Supervisors of Sacramento County, because he thought they might do it just to spite the Sacramento City Council. They did, so they formed a JPA with the city of West Sacramento, and that's how Rayleigh's minor league ballpark got started and was built. That turned out to be a real impetus for giving the city of West Sacramento a little bit of swagger to be able then to work out a deal where the Port of Sacramento then got changed over from being governed by the County of Sacramento and the Sacramento City Council back to the City Council in West Sacramento and Yolo County. And the two are working very closely now, so all the development that's going on in West Sacramento, the Bridge District, is all as a result of that. It's a really, it's amazing. It's right across the river from downtown Sacramento. And it's really there's a lot going on there. Good story.
That's what they got some phenomenal outreach for preschool kids in West Sacramento. Christopher's done some amazing work out there.
Yeah.
He's good.
Okay, anybody else? All right, that was an informational report. Meeting matters initiated by this commission. Good.
You were so honest.
Informational items?
I'll just breeze through this. For current and pending proposals, there are currently no active proposals on file with the Commission that remain under administrative review or potential new proposals as of date of this report. For the progress report on our work plan, the Financial Audit Committee has issued a request for proposals for professional auditing services and expects to grant a contract award at the Commission's March meeting next year with Commission approval. QK Associates has provided the Policy and Budget Committee an administrative draft on its countywide water, wastewater, stormwater, and flood control municipal service review. The committee provided comments and feedback to the consultant, and a draft of the MSR is scheduled to be presented at our January 16th meeting. Finally, staff anticipates a signed short-term lease agreement with the Community Development Agency, hopefully by next month. And then the legislative report, Cal LAFCO's annual omnibus bill that made non-controversial edits and streamlined the out-of-area service agreement statutes was signed by the governor and chaptered. A few bills that staff would like to note and are on Cal LAFCO's watch list are AB 1389 that allows LAFCOs, when authorizing latent powers of a special district, to propose the district provide payments to any affected local agency for taxes, fees, and or any associated lost revenues as a result of the new service being provided. And another bill to watch for is SB 272 that amends the health and safety code regarding the formation zones within a fire district. by requiring the district to hold an election if the district wishes to expand that zone, regardless of the protest level received. So staff will be attending Cal LAFCO's next legislative meeting tomorrow to be held in Sacramento, and we'll provide updates at our January meeting on that. And the Cal LAFCO annual report, they conducted its annual report on current and pending activities to its 58 member LAFCOs that goes over financial outlook on Cal LAFCO, future trainings, educational programs. And it also announced that Cal LAFCO's 2020 annual conference will be held in Monterey from October 21st through the 23rd. And that is it for the items.
Thank you. Any questions of our executive director on this board? Seeing none, we will move to the adjournment of the meeting, noting that our next meetings of the commission are under item 14. We are adjourned.
We don't usually have an audience of this size.
Yeah.
2 items.
Trying to charge somebody $274.